Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're back with a controller review for the Switch and the Switch 2, and that is this thing here. This is the Gioteck WX4 Plus wireless RGB controller. Now, as in my infinite wisdom of trying to buy controllers and see what different brands are like, I bought this bad boy. Now, I've had this for a while. We're looking at like 4 to 5 months before I've actually got around to doing this, which was the original plan. There's on the back as well. This particular one is the camo one, which I can show you right here. Here's the actual controller itself. It's the camo one. Now, Gioteck, I could be wrong, but I think it might be an English company. And they do like third-party support for the various different hardware manufacturers and all that. Now, the thing with this controller, like, it's very, very obvious, is this is a bit on the cheaper side. This thing retails for £25. Now, I'd say that's actually pretty good because the controller itself isn't actually that bad, but don't expect a premium quality. Now, I bought the camo one at the time because it was the cheapest one. The plastic on this thing is very smooth, and you've got these weird, like, grippy bits here, which look to be like RGB lights, but they're not. They're just, like, different plastic. But it's a weird-looking controller because it's like the body of like an Xbox 360 controller, like how you hold it and things like that, but then it almost has like this bit here and these bits that makes it feel more like a PlayStation controller. It's a bit of a weird one. Just so you can see, you've got your analog sticks, your D-pad, your buttons on the front there, X, Y, A, B. You've got your triggers and bumpers. And on the back, we have 2 buttons. There's also a button down the bottom that switches something, but I can't for the life of me remember what it does. And you can also change the RGB lights on it, which I can show you in a minute. But with the controller itself, for £25, it's not that bad. The thing you're going to notice first, other than the plastic, is how light this thing is. This has got no weight to it whatsoever. Here's the Switch 2 Pro controller. Alright? This has a nice weight. This fits nice. It's quite heavy, but it fits nicely in your hand. This thing is significantly lighter. There's like hardly anything in there. There is rumble in this, but there's nothing else to it. It's just like a circuit board and nothing else. So it's it depends whether you like your controllers light or whether you prefer them a bit heavy. But it's not bad. How does it sit comfortably in my hand? It sits like a controller. The hand grips here on either side come out there from the bend. They feel nice to hold. It's actually quite nice holding it. But it definitely feels like I could snap it a little bit, if I'm honest. It's got that. It's not quite as heavy. It doesn't have quite as much weight as I would want from a controller. So let's talk about the actual controller itself then. Let's talk about the buttons and the things like that. The joysticks on this are pretty good. They do clack when they hit the sides. They feel a little bit small. I think that's because I'm used to the Switch 2 ones, and they obviously don't hit the sides as well. But they're not bad. They have a nice... Let's see if I can show you. They reset like decently. They're not the fastest, but they come back and go to the middle and they move. There's no issue with these sticks. They click in lovely. Who doesn't like a good click on their sticks? But they're not the best sticks I've ever used. But they're not bad. I wouldn't have a problem using these. If this is what I had to use, then this would be absolutely fine. The face buttons themselves have a nice travel distance. They go in quite nicely. It might be quite hard to see, but they have a nice distance to them. And I quite like that. This one here, the A button, I think raises slightly more than the others, but because that's on the side of the controller. But they click in, they've got a nice sound to them, and they feel good. I actually think there's parts of this controller that are really good, and the buttons are definitely one of them. This D-pad. This D-pad is awful. This is the worst thing about this controller. It is crap. It is very stiff. It is more like buttons than the D-pad itself. I will try and show some gameplay of me playing a 2D game with it. It works, but I don't like it. I think this is by far the thing that would put me off buying a controller like this. These buttons feel nice, clicking them in, but as a D-pads go, it's not far off like the 360s. Really, really bad. It's I would say marginally better than the PlayStation, but I think at least the PlayStation buttons have got more give. The other buttons on here, like starting, these are lovely. They go in nice and deep into the controller. There's the home button as well. And there's this button here, which I think is for turning it on. Or syncing it. I can't remember what it's for. I should look at the back of the box. All in all, the analog sticks and the buttons here absolutely fine. The bumpers, these are actually really good. They go in. They might feel a little loose to some people, but they go in all the way. Your finger sits lovely on these. Some controllers, like the Switch 2 Pro controller, you'll notice that this doesn't have much give. They're good, and they are bigger on that one, but they're not as... These definitely feel like they have like a really nice... Your thumb's... Sorry, not your thumb. Your finger's going to fit nicely on there. They go in. Maybe a little bit soft for some people, but the real winner here are the back triggers. Now, you'll see they've got some serious... These are analog, I'm pretty sure. They go all the way down like that, which is what makes these... This is the one thing about this controller that makes it decent in my opinion. If these feel really good to push. There's a little bit of tension. They go down quite far. They do bend a little bit, which is, you know, if you're smashing the buttons, you're probably going to notice it. But I think these are one of the best things about this controller is having those really nice, bendy, have some travel distance to them triggers. It means when you're sat there playing a game, it feels good. Like if you're playing a racing game and you pull that back, it feels like you're like, ah, yeah. I do think though there's almost like maybe a little bit, just a tiny little bit too much, maybe. So you might feel like you're going to break it. And then there's the two back buttons here. These don't feel that good. They're very clicky. They're very responsive. But compared to the ones on the back of this, which you can't really see, like the ones on the back of this, oh, feel lovely. These don't feel nearly as good as you'd want them to feel. Like when you're playing this, like your fingers are going to sit nicely on there. Again, very clicky this controller, which I quite enjoy. But they don't feel... They just feel like they're sticking out a little bit much. Maybe they needed to be indented a little more, or maybe a little bit more travel time on it. It's a game of two halves with this controller, really, because you are getting decent analog sticks, you are getting decent phase buttons, and the triggers and the bumpers feel decent. But on the trade-off of that, you're getting a very, pretty awful D-pad. You're getting very smooth plastic, too smooth, and very lightweight. So this controller's kind of weird. It definitely feels like a cheaper alternative for people to use. I will say I've played long sessions with it and I've found it comfortable, so I can't complain too much about that. But ultimately, it's one of those controllers that's kind of like, I don't know, it's not a bad choice. It's still better than what third-party controllers used to be. It's just, this isn't necessarily the first choice I would go for. There are other products that I would like to check out by this company. But before we go and all that, let's actually show me using this with some gameplay. Let's boot up some Mario Kart or something along those lines, and let's have a look at this and see it in action, shall we? Alright, a bit of free roam going on here for Mario Kart. Just so you guys can see. I'm trying to drive my controller at a funny angle, but it's me holding down there. No real issues at all playing this. Can still do everything. Like playing Mario Kart, it feels good using this trigger. Because, like I said, you can pull it back. It feels good. I always forget how great the music is. But yeah, you know, not having any issues with the D-pad. D-pad, analog stick. Can you use a D-pad in this? No. Can drive around just absolutely fine. Could play the game, no issues. Just brake. Let's make sure that all works. You can see Wario's lovely face. But yeah, absolutely no issues with it. You can also see the... might be quite hard, but there's RGB on this controller. Let's go fly over here quickly. Woohoo! But yeah, as controllers go, like I could easily see myself playing Mario Kart with this. I'm gonna fall off the edge because I'm an idiot. Whoa! Ah, nice. Ah, it's the life in it. But yeah. Ultimately, you're not going to have any issues with this controller, I don't think. I've not had any issues, and I'm not currently having issues trying to play this. It feels absolutely fine to do so. Because it is like that type of plastic, and it's a bit like like harder, or like the way that it's shaped. It's probably not as comfortable for like long periods of play like the Pro Controller is, but there's nothing wrong with this. Like, you can definitely like see it's working fine. But let's test something out with the D-pad. Let's hop on over to a different game and give the D-pad a whirl, so I can show you just how like not fun it is to play with it. So let's just do that. Let's boot up something else. Alright, so here we are in Castlevania. This is the Dominus Collection. We're playing Dawn of Sorrow. Now, here's me using the D-pad, just so you can see. Like, it works, but it's not exactly fun to play with. Let's go have a little gander. Oh. Probably die in the process. It's really uncomfortable to use. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm struggling to use this. It doesn't feel fun to put, like, there's no give there, so it just feels like I'm pushing really hard on this to, like, get my character to move. And that's not fun. You don't want that. Like, I'm better off using the analog stick. The analog stick feels infinitely better, which should not be the case for a 2D game. 2D games, you want to be using a D-pad that's nice and concise, right? But genuinely, like, there's so little give, and it feels like more like holding a button down than an actual D-pad, that it's not great. So, not a fan of that. So, let's head on. Let's head back to and give my sort of final impressions to this. Just switch over to, there we go, to my. I'll leave the controller on a second so you guys can actually see there is color in it, color on the analog sticks, which is cool. Honestly, if you want a cheap controller, like a spare backup or something that's, you know, which you can, this will sync up. You push the middle button and the Y button, I think it is, to sync it up to the Switch or Switch 2. And I am using this on a Switch 2 currently, as you've seen. So it does work on both. If you want a cheapish controller for about £25, this isn't that bad. But don't buy this if you're planning on playing a lot of 2D games or anything that requires a D-pad. It's not that comfortable. This is one of the weaker controllers I've reviewed on this channel. This is similar to that Rock Candy one. Like, that Rock Candy one I quite liked, but even that was cheap because it was cheap at the time when I bought it. Sort of that kind of quality. It's a cheap controller. It has got redeeming qualities. Like, the analog sticks are cool, the RGB's cool on it, the buttons, both top and bottom, decent. So there's more good with this than bad. Excuse me. But when compared to things like 8-Bit Do and Power A and all the other ones that I've kind of done, this feels like one of the weaker controllers. And so if you are limited on funds and you need something to just have as a backup, or you can't afford a Pro controller, this isn't a terrible idea. Just don't expect the world from it. And remember, it's really light. There's like no weight to this thing at all. So if you like a light controller, £25 in the UK, you'll probably be alright with this. But anything more advanced, you want to do anything, even the back buttons here, they're not great. Like, this thing's got the sauce. It's just not the most comfortable, and I think the comfortability is the problem with this thing. It's not the most comfortable. Like, it's okay. It's an okay controller. So that is the Gioteck WX4 Plus, the wireless version. Hopefully this has been useful to somebody. If you are looking for a cheap controller, it's not a bad option. If you're looking for something better, there are better options out there, but it will be more expensive. And yeah, hopefully this has been useful to somebody. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today then, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Obviously helps me out. If you want to see more controller reviews and hardware stuff, I have got a few more videos coming up. So hit the subscribe button, stick around, you can wait for those to come along. And until next video, I will see you then.